Nature. The word nature is a commonly used word. This word is used in a variety of contexts. Perhaps the most important reference is the multiple species of plants, animals, wildlife, and all that the earth contains, from topography such as mountains, valleys, beaches, and seas, and forests. The beauty of nature. The nature of man is characterized by its beauty resulting mainly from the wonderful diversity of living organisms that exist in various parts of the earth, as well as the unique terrain of mountains, water, plateaus, and forests. Each of these features is distinguished by a special beauty that distinguishes it from other terrain, and this great diversity gave people wide spaces to seek calm, tranquility, and tranquility. Man by nature is a creature eager to taste beauty, and there is nothing more beautiful than nature. The manifestations of the beauty of nature. For the beauty of nature are many manifestations. Wherever a person turns his face, he will inevitably find a manifestation of these appearances. Perhaps the most striking of these is the unique diversity in the colors around us, which created a wonderful natural painting. Other manifestations include variations in sizes, shapes, even among the creatures of the same species. On the other hand, one of the greatest manifestations of nature's beauty is the beautiful smells of certain creatures, such as flowers, and certain kinds of fruits, especially citrus, which is accompanied by seasons and certain times, like the smell of the earth after the rain. The beauty of nature around us. The beauty of nature around us is one of the greatest blessings of God on us. This beauty allows us to choose places and many destinations for the sake of rest, recreation, and the best of times. The beauty of nature has always been the first inspiration for artists and creators around the world. This is evidenced by the vast number of works of art, poetry, and music that have attracted people around the world, and which revolve around the beauty and charm of nature. The beauty of nature is an important source of income for many countries of the world. Natural places are a tourist attraction that helps countries to improve their economic level, and thus emerged many of the areas that are famous for their natural beauty unspeakable. The most prominent of these areas, the Amazon River, the Dead Sea, the Jita Grotto, Mount Teple, the Porta Princesa River, the Iguazu Falls, and others. A global competition to select the 7 natural wonders has been held, and perhaps the most notable achievement of this list is the global spotlight on some areas that have not been so popular, thus contributing to a greater number of visitors than ever before. I declare this world is so beautiful that I can hardly believe it exists. The beauty of nature can have a profound effect upon our senses, those gateways from the outer world to the inner, whether it results in disbelief in its very existence, as Emerson notes, or feelings such as awe, wonder, or amazement. But what is it about nature and the entities that make it up that cause us, oftentimes unwillingly, to feel or declare that they are beautiful? One answer that Emerson offers is that the simple perception of natural forms is a delight. When we think of beauty in nature, we might most immediately think of things that dazzle the senses: the prominence of a mountain, the expanse of the sea, the unfolding of the life of a flower. Often it is merely the perception of these things itself which gives us pleasure, and this emotional or affective response on our part seems to be crucial to our experience of beauty. So in a way there is a correlate here to the intrinsic value of nature, Emerson says. The sky, the mountain, the tree, the animal, give us a delight in and for themselves. Most often, it seems to me, we find these things to be beautiful not because of something else they might bring us, a piece of furniture, say, or a delicacy, to be consumed, but because of the way that the forms of these things immediately strike us upon observation. In fact, one might even think that this experience of beauty is one of the bases for valuing nature. Nature is valuable because it is beautiful. Emerson seems to think that beauty in the natural world is not limited to certain parts of nature to the exclusion of others. He writes that every landscape lies under the necessity of being beautiful, and that beauty breaks in everywhere. As we slowly creep out of a long winter in the Northeast, I think Emerson would find the lamentations about what we have endured to be misguided. The inhabitants of the city suppose that the country landscape is pleasant only half the year. To the attentive eye, each moment of the year has its own beauty, and in the same field it beholds, every hour, a picture which was never seen before, and which shall never be seen again. The close observer of nature sees a river in constant flux, even when the river's water is frozen and everything appears to be static and unchanging for a time. Nature can reveal its beauty in all places and at all times to the eye that knows how to look for it. We can hear Emerson wrangle with himself on this very point in the words of this journal entry. At night I went out into the dark and saw a glimmering star and heard a frog, and nature seemed to say, "Well, do not these suffice?" Here is a new scene, a new experience. Ponder it, Emerson, and not like the foolish world, hanker after thunders and multitudes and vast landscapes, the sea or Niagara. So if we're sympathetic to the idea that nature, or aspects of it, are beautiful, we might ask ourselves why we experience nature in this way. Emerson says that nature is beautiful because it is alive, moving, reproductive. In nature we observe growth and development in living things, contrasted with the static or deteriorating state of the vast majority of that which is man-made. More generally, he writes, we ascribe beauty to that which has no superfluous parts, which exactly answers its end, which stands related to all things. He cites natural structures as lacking superfluities, an observation that in general has been confirmed by the advancement of biology. Furthermore, he says that whether talking about a human artifact or a natural organism, any increase of ability to achieve its end or goal is an increase in beauty. So in Emerson we might find the resources for seeing evolution and the drive to survive as a beautiful rather than an ugly process, governed by laws that tend to increase reproductive fitness and that we can understand through observation and inquiry. And lastly, Emerson points to the relation between what we take to be an individual and the rest of nature as a quality of the beautiful. This consists in the power to suggest relation to the whole world, and so lift the object out of a pitiful individuality. In nature one doesn't come across individuals that are robustly independent from their environment, rather things are intimately interconnected with their surroundings in ways that we don't fully understand. Nothing is quite beautiful alone, nothing but is beautiful in the whole. All of these qualities of beauty seem to go beyond the mere impression of sensible forms that we started with, and what they require is what also served as the basis of truth and goodness in nature. In addition to the immediate experience of beauty based in perception, Emerson suggests that the beauty of the world may also be viewed as an object of the intellect. He writes that, the question of beauty takes us out of surfaces, to thinking of the foundations of things. In other words, we can also experience the world as beautiful because of its rational structure and our ability to grasp that structure through thought. Think for instance of the geometric structure of a crystal, or snowflake, or nautilus shell. Or consider the complexity of the fact that the reintroduction of the wolf in Yellowstone National Park changed the course of the rivers due to a chain reaction of cause and effect through the food web, a process called a trophic cascade. This reinforces Emerson's emphasis on the interconnection between all members of the natural world. As observers of nature, we are confronted with one giant, complex process that isn't of our own making, but that we can also understand, and get a mental grasp on, even if only partially, and be awestruck in that process of understanding. There is thus an emotional or affective component in the beauty of the intellect, just as there is in the immediate beauty of perception. If we destroy the natural world, we take away the things that we can marvel at and experience awe towards in these two ways. And this experience of the beautiful through the intellect may reinforce our attributing value to nature here as well, but a deeper kind of value, the intrinsic value I talked about in the last essay. Here it is not only that nature is valuable because it is beautiful, but nature is beautiful because it possesses intrinsic value, grounded in its intelligible structure. Thus we see a close parallel between goodness and beauty in nature. We can find an objective basis for goodness and beauty in nature, namely its intelligible structure, but also see that nature is valuable and beautiful for us, with the particular apparatus that nature has given us for navigating our way through the world. So that which is the basis of truth in nature and provides it with intrinsic value is also that which makes it beautiful. Emerson himself ties these three aspects of nature into one package himself. He should know that the landscape has beauty for his eye, because it expresses a thought which is to him good, and this, because of the same power which sees through his eyes, is seen in that spectacle. This is the unified philosophy of nature that I set out to explicate in the first essay. Nature is the source of truth, goodness, and beauty, because of its intelligible structure, and because of its production of organisms that can recognize that structure, us. And this view of nature includes an inherent call to protect that which is true, good, and beautiful. These are the things that we as human beings are searching for, are striving after, and yet they're right in front of us if only we would listen with our ear to the earth. Although I've been advocating an approach to nature based on its intelligibility, we are far from tying down the giant that is nature with our minds. Emerson writes that, the perception of the inexhaustibleness of nature is an immortal youth. Although we shall continue to try to uncover nature's secrets, let us also continue to take pleasure in our immediate encounter with her. Let us continue to be awestruck, like the child on the seashore, or clambering up a tree. Let us hold on to that experience, and fight for the environment that makes it possible, both for the child in each of us, and for those that come after us. Nature has given us so much that we cannot even imagine. Life on this earth is possible only because of nature. There are many other planets in the universe, but without this nature, life is not possible there. Thus nature is the basis of our life. Nature is not the same everywhere on earth. According to the place, nature changes its appearance, and according to that place provides us with resources, as well as provides comfort to our mind, our eyes. Nature gives us so much, so it is our duty to respect it, knowing its importance, and not to destroy it for our selfishness. So that the children of man can also enjoy its beauty and take advantage of it, otherwise one day will be when people will be able to see and feel the beauty of this nature on the computer itself. While people created art and built cities and argued about golden ratios, the natural world continued existing. In Western colonial cultures, a renewed appreciation for the beauty of the natural world grew steadily throughout the 17th and 18th centuries. I imagine this as wealthy white society looking out at rugged or serene landscapes and saying things like and ah and yonder. But why does there seem to be a universal appeal when it comes to certain types of landscape, and how do you know that sunsets are beautiful? For some, natural beauty means the absence of perfection or repetition, but for others it is the widespread, symmetrical repetition that is so pleasing, so meaningful, so memorable. Both havoc and order are spread richly throughout the natural world. Over 10 years ago, a psychology professor working in Tokyo, Shigeru Watanabe, found that Java sparrows could distinguish between harmonious and discordant music, preferring the more tuneful tunes, and perhaps that is all human appreciation is too. Do we always prefer the harmonious to the discordant, whatever that distinction might look like to us? It is not my place to say that the music you're listening to sounds terrible. On that note, harmony is very much its own kind of beautiful, and it looks and feels like different things to all of us. For me, harmony is found in the way tree branches will sometimes grow curving around to hold each other, the way rain disappears into the surface of the sea, the sitting and sighing in front of landscapes that are too large to comprehend, and when we have enough energy left to dance at the end of the day. We must not forget, though, while oohing and awing about the natural world, that none of it has evolved for us. That it is, in many ways, a marvelous coincidence that we would find any of it beautiful at all. Flowers are not here purely for us to behold, trees do not grow because of us, more like in spite of at this point, and as far as I know, there are no measurable benefits to gazing at clouds. We, too, have evolved, have learned and been conditioned to appreciate many natural sceneries and forms, although I'm not sure that the same could be said the other way around. If you asked a tree, would it find you beautiful? If we could understand the discussions of sea creatures, would they have anything to say about the beauty of humans? With all of this in your mind, choose a day to wake before the dawn. I think you should know what it feels like to walk through wet grass and early spiderwebs while half the world is falling back to sleep. Or to walk the streets while they are missing the heavy noise of people, to notice how the tarmac smells before the light touches it, to watch as the day begins to be colored in with the details. If you're not watchful, the wonderful is made mundane. But on a good day, the mundane can be made miraculous. We often associate the beauty of nature with a majestic sunset, or an awe-inspiring mountain. However, by focusing on the more dramatic aspects of nature, we are only scratching the surface on the sheer extent of beauty which lies within the natural world. By immersing ourselves more intimately with our surroundings, we can find beauty in places we would usually overlook, writes Arnold Berliand. In our high-tech world, there is little we do that is not mediated by some machine or device. Our days are dominated by cell phones and computers, even when we're eating or on the move. But despite the domination of technology, nature still intrudes. Natural beauty seems to have an immediate and unlearned attraction. From little children picking the first spring flowers in thoughtless fascination, to a driver pulling off the road to gaze out over a spreading landscape, and a city dweller searching up through surrounding buildings to look in silent wonder at the moon, there is gratification in these acts, the satisfaction of a primal need. To call these an appreciation of beauty recognizes the resemblance that such unlearned behavior has to the more deliberate acts of self-fulfilling appreciation in nature and art.